Fantastic. So, in this segment, Max Stirner says a lot of things. Says a lot of really interesting things. He describes what he means by a fixed idea, which is really important to his works. He describes how much he hates that people let themselves be subjected by this fixed idea. He describes situations in which fixed ideas are pressured upon the individual. See, Max Stirner doesn't believe in morality at all, which is why he mentions brother-sister incest. If people are caught committing incest, then they become immoral and are arrested by the state. Stirner does not believe in the morality or immorality of incest, but he definitely does not believe in the authority of the state to arrest and imprison people who choose to have incest. He describes how when you fight against people's moral beliefs, they will rage against you. They will hate you touching their fixed idea, despite the fact that their fixed idea is, about as relevant as God, which according to Stirner is not relevant at all. He describes that moral faith is as fanatical as religious faith. He then goes to further deconstruct what goodness means. And describes the egoist as inhuman. I think that's a really interesting thing, because in a lot of ways Stirner does seek to be inhuman. He no longer wants humanity. Yeah. He no longer considers himself part of humanity. He describes how the philosophical groups, the rationalists, they reject Christianity, but they keep religion in the form of morality. Then later, which I think is one of the most interesting parts, is he describes an assassination and the thefts of Saint Crispin. Then Stirner asks us why we find these acts immoral. Why should we find these acts immoral, even if the result is good according to some ideologies? To answer your question, is depriving someone of agency by capturing, harming, lying to, or killing them something you shouldn't do? It's not necessarily something that you shouldn't do. It's something that you can do, but you should only do it if it is acting towards your egoistic interests. In that manner, being captured, being harmed, being lied to, being murdered is against one's egoistic self-interest. If you can view other people as, full, unique individuals, then you will understand that by doing those things to them, you are infringing on their unique ability. You're infringing on their unique position in life. And well, basically, you'd better have a really good internal reason to lie, to capture, to murder. You're not doing it because it's bad, but you're doing it because it's in your self-interest not to be a murderer. The state might capture you. You may lose your friends. You may lose your loved ones. That's in your self-interest not to do. It is in your self-interest to give other people love, and you should give other people love for no other reason than it makes you happy. You should refrain from murdering people for no other reason than it makes you happy. It pleases you to not murder people. And like, as a conscious egoist, if you murder someone, you must understand that you murdered a unique individual, a unique viewpoint, der Einzige, the ego itself, the unique one. And I bet rare is an egoist who could live with themselves for having murdered. I guess there's not much reason to do things if you don't have a benchmark to decide what things are worth doing. Goodness is that benchmark, isn't it? No, not according to Stirner. The benchmark is your ego, your own pleasure, your own feelings about a subject or a reason or a justification. Yeah. Yes, I think so. I think Stirner and Kant do have a lot in common. Except Kant has the categorical imperative of his doing good. Kant is like, I hate to reduce Kant to this degree, is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Which, I would say Stirner would say two different things, because that's what he does all the fucking time. He would say, one, do unto others as you would have them do unto you because it pleases you. And the second would be, do unto yourself. Forget the idea of others. Forget the idea of other uniques, other viewpoints. You do unto others because it pleases you. Their existence kind of doesn't really matter at all in the Stirnerite viewpoint, in the Stirnerite position. They matter only because you decide they matter. You decide they have value or engagement. Yeah. What an interesting one, eh? Also, I don't think Stirner is entirely a hedonist. See, a hedonist seeks pleasure for pleasure's sake, whereas Stirnerite egoism does not necessarily seek pleasure for pleasure's sake, because that's a fixed idea held above one's ideology, held above one's Einzige. You see, it might be in an individual's best self-interest to be an ascetic. That might please them more than being a hedonist. You see the you see the difference in that? Like Stirner's position gives a lot of like free reign to engage with whatever it is that most pleases you. Yeah. Yeah. Well, honestly, unless you've got any other questions about Stirner, I I might finish it there. Um, unless I mean I'm gonna play video games for the next hour or something. Well, the thing is, Junior, the more I read, the more I learn. Like, I've already read The Ego in His Own, this translation once, but that was on PDF, and I think I was skipping a lot of the more complex sentences, and I'm getting a lot more out of this than I was before. Also, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for hitting that guy with a timeout. That was revolting. I mean, I'm laughing because, like, I have to laugh because otherwise I'm just going to be so ashamed that people believe these things, that people think that shit like that's funny. Like, I don't believe that no joke about races wait. I think you can tell funny jokes about races. You know, like, it's probably better if you tell jokes about your own experience with racial, your own racial experience. But I'm not one of those people who believes that it's by definition not funny. What is when it's not funny is like when you're relying on shitty stereotypes, when you're relying on awful, like, racist premises that continue to suppress people, that continue to oppress people. But like, I don't know. I'm struggling to think of a like a good racial joke. But I don't really believe that it's by definition. It's like content warning. It's like jokes about rape. A man making a joke about raping someone is pretty much never funny. Like, it's just awful. But someone making a joke about their experience of being raped, that can be funny. Like, what's her name? Oh my god, I can't remember her name. I can picture her in my mind's eye. This woman comedian, she made this like harrowing joke about her experience with sexual assault, and it was very funny. It was very funny and hard to listen to and raw and emotional and open, and that's fine. That's good. You know? But, ooh. Ooh, I've heard some bad ones. I have heard some really bad ones. Ugh. But that's the main difference, though, isn't it? Like, joking about your experience, whether it's race or gender or sexual assault or whatever, that's almost always going to be more funny than joking about a stereotype of those things. Because it's more honest, it's more true. It's relying on your own individual experience, not on stereotype. Does this make sense? Is this an awful thing to say? I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't. Ooh. I'm gonna need to buy a light bar as well. I want to put a light bar up there, and I want to program it to be blue and purple, so I can have the left tube lighting. Yeah, so I can be like ContraPoints. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You can't punch down if you're punching yourself. Yeah. And that's good. Thanks for bringing that up, Junior. Is that punching down is never funny. It's never funny. Punching up is funny. Punching yourself can be funny. Which reminds me, if I punch myself and it hurts, does that make me weak or strong?